How you feel? Yo, man, I feel like busting your ass, man.
Yes, I think you're very attractive. I'd let you do me.
Are you wondering why Damon Wayans, a standout on Saturday Night Live, was fired so quickly? Just when fans were used to Damon Wayans appearing on the show, he suddenly disappeared. What happened to Damon Wayans? This video will tell you all. Let's get started. Damon Wayans' tenure on Saturday Night Live, SNL, during the 1985 to 1986 season was brief and turbulent, lasting only 11 episodes. As a featured performer, he struggled to find a place within the show's ensemble, a situation exacerbated by the types of roles and sketches he was often assigned. Wayans, known for his sharp, edgy humor and dynamic comedic energy, was repeatedly cast in roles where he had to play the straight man. This limited him creatively and was a stark departure from the kind of boundary-pushing comedy for which he would later become famous. The frustration for Wayans didn't stem solely from his on-screen assignments, but also from the rejection of his own sketch ideas. As an innovative comedian, he felt constrained by the creative environment at SNL, where his vision didn't align with the show's direction at the time. Wayans recalled being asked to perform roles that he found reductive, notably in sketches that leaned on racial stereotypes. One particular example involved him holding a spear and wearing a thong in a scene. Reflecting on this experience, Wayans stated, "My mother is going to watch this show, you know. Lions just holding a spear and a thong. I'm like, I can't do this." He ultimately declined to perform the part, a decision he said was informed by his personal values and sense of dignity. Wayans' refusal to participate in sketches he found degrading led to tensions with the show's producers and writers. When he pushed back against these roles, he was labeled as not a team player, a critique that further alienated him. In response, Wayans quipped, "I'm just on a sleeve," a wry acknowledgement of his marginalized role on the show. This discontent came to a head during one live performance when he intentionally deviated from the script in a small supporting role. In a sketch where he was cast as a straight-laced cop, Wayans improvised by playing the character as flamboyantly gay, adding humor and personality to a part that he felt was otherwise flat. While the moment highlighted Wayans' comedic instincts, it was seen as insubordination by SNL's leadership, leading to his termination from the show. Damon Wayans' brief and tumultuous time on Saturday Night Live, SNL, reached its breaking point during a sketch titled Mr. Monopoly. The sketch revolved around two police officers interrogating a man until they were interrupted by his lawyer. Mr. Monopoly, the iconic board game character, was emblematic of Wayans' frustrations during his time on the show. From the outset, Wayans had been unimpressed with the sketch, finding it unfunny and uninspired. For a performer with a sharp comedic edge and a penchant for challenging norms, the material fell far below his creative standards. During the transition between the dress rehearsal and the live broadcast, SNL's creator and producer Lorne Michaels instructed Wayans to make a seemingly minor costume change, asking him to switch from a suit to a police uniform to play one of the officers in the sketch. To Michaels, this adjustment might have been inconsequential, but for Wayans, it was the final straw in an already strained relationship. Frustrated by what he saw as the show's lack of respect for his comedic talents and its failure to utilize him effectively, Wayans snapped. He viewed the sketch, and his role within it, as yet another instance of being relegated to generic, thankless parts with no room for creativity or personal flair. Wayans later admitted that by the time the live show began, he knew his days at SNL were numbered. He decided to take matters into his own hands, using the live broadcast as an opportunity to make a statement. According to reports, Wayans was instructed to play the cop character as a straightforward, heterosexual man. However, as an act of protest and defiance, he flipped the script during the live performance. He portrayed the character as a flamboyant, stereotypically gay man, injecting humor and personality into a role that had initially been devoid of it. The decision was a bold one, but it was also a calculated act of rebellion. Wayans used his performance to highlight his dissatisfaction with the creative direction of the show and to draw attention to his ability to inject life into even the dullest material. However, his improvisation was also seen as a direct challenge to the authority of Lorne Michaels and the structure of SNL. Michaels, known for maintaining tight control over the show's content and performances, viewed the deviation as an act of insubordination. Immediately following the sketch, Michaels took decisive action. Wayans was fired on the spot, marking an abrupt end to his short stint on the show. For Wayans, the dismissal was inevitable. He had already felt increasingly alienated from the SNL environment, where his edgy and experimental comedic style clashed with the more rigid framework of the show. In a 2015 interview with The Weekender, Damon Wayans reflected on the circumstances surrounding his dismissal from Saturday Night Live, SNL, offering insight into the frustrations that plagued his brief time on the iconic sketch comedy show. Wayans candidly discussed the creative restrictions he faced during his tenure, explaining that he often felt stifled and unable to express his comedic voice. However, Wayans also revealed a perspective he had gained over time. His conflicts on the show were not entirely rooted in malice or neglect, but stemmed, at least in part, from SNL creator Lorne Michaels' attempt to shield him from potentially damaging comparisons to Eddie Murphy. At the time, Wayans joined the SNL cast in 1985, just as Eddie Murphy had departed after transforming himself into one of the most celebrated stars in the show's history. Murphy's groundbreaking success as a young black comedian on SNL had set an extraordinarily high bar, and his larger-than-life legacy loomed heavily over the program. Lorne Michaels, who was keenly aware of the comparisons that might arise between Murphy and Wayans, sought to differentiate the latter's comedic presence from Murphy's. Wayans explained, "It was right after Eddie Murphy left the show, and they weren't letting me do anything that I wanted to do." Michaels' approach, however well-intentioned, inadvertently became a source of frustration for Wayans. The restrictions placed on him created a stifling creative environment, preventing him from fully showcasing the unique brand of humor that would later define his career. Wayans' comedic instincts often leaned toward sharp, satirical, and boundary-pushing material, yet he was routinely assigned straight-man roles or relegated to supporting parts that failed to highlight his strengths. While Michaels' intentions may have been protective, the effect was a growing sense of alienation for Wayans, who felt trapped in roles that did not align with his comedic vision. "I was angry," Wayans recalled, explaining that his frustration stemmed not just from being restricted creatively, but also from feeling that the material he was given lacked humor or originality. "It wasn't funny because I was angry they didn't let me do what I wanted to do on SNL." His discontent built over time, fueled by the show's rejection of his sketch ideas and its insistence on keeping him within predefined boundaries. The tension came to a head during the infamous Mr. Monopoly sketch, where Wayans' decision to play his character as a flamboyant, stereotypically gay cop during the live broadcast was a deliberate act of rebellion. While this act cost him his job, it also underscored the growing disconnect between Wayans and the creative leadership of SNL. With the benefit of hindsight, Wayans acknowledged that Michaels' protective instincts were well-meaning, even if they clashed with his own aspirations. For Wayans, the experience at SNL was both a source of frustration and a learning moment, a realization of the challenges that came with carving out a distinct comedic identity in the shadow of an industry titan like Eddie Murphy. Despite the obstacles, Wayans' firing from SNL ultimately set the stage for his success elsewhere. Freed from the constraints he experienced at SNL, Wayans found the creative freedom he longed for as a co-creator and star of In Living Color. The groundbreaking sketch comedy series allowed him to lean fully into his comedic sensibilities, crafting characters and sketches that were unfiltered, unapologetic, and uniquely his own. In retrospect, his time at SNL was less a failure and more a stepping stone, an experience that clarified the importance of creative autonomy and authenticity in his work. Wayans' reflections highlight a critical tension in the entertainment industry, the balance between nurturing talent and allowing it the freedom to flourish. While Lorne Michaels may have sought to protect Wayans, the result was a creative bottleneck that left the comedian feeling unfulfilled. Ultimately, Wayans' departure from SNL was not the end of his story, but the beginning of a remarkable journey that would solidify his place as one of comedy's most original and influential voices. During the conversation, Wayans admitted that he fully anticipated being fired for his rebellious decision during the infamous Mr. Monopoly sketch. Yet he also acknowledged that Lorne Michaels, the show's creator and producer, was justified in letting him go. "I did it with the wrong spirit," Wayans confessed, referring to his decision to intentionally alter his performance during the live broadcast. In the sketch, instead of playing his character as written, a straightforward police officer, Wayans flipped the script, portraying the character as flamboyantly gay. The move was a deliberate act of defiance, born out of mounting frustration with what he perceived as the show's failure to let him showcase his comedic talents. However, in hindsight, Wayans recognized that his actions, while rooted in his dissatisfaction, were unprofessional. "He was right to let me go. He was right to fire me," Wayans admitted, demonstrating a rare level of humility and self-awareness. The firing itself was swift and decisive. Following the live broadcast, Michaels confronted Wayans and terminated his position on the show. For Wayans, the experience was a wake-up call. "No regrets," he said. "I went on to do what I wanted to do, a lot of the things that I wanted to do." Wayans' dismissal marked the end of a challenging chapter in his career, but also the beginning of a journey that would allow him to fully explore his comedic vision. Reflecting on his younger self, Wayans described his time on SNL as a period of immaturity and impatience. "I was 25, I was young and full of myself on SNL," he admitted. His youth and confidence, coupled with a desire to make an immediate impact, led him to clash with the structure and hierarchy of the show. Wayans also acknowledged that he lacked the patience to navigate the complexities of being part of a large ensemble cast, especially one still adjusting in the wake of Eddie Murphy's departure. "I didn't know any better to be patient and wait for my time," Wayans reflected, recognizing that his impulsive behavior may have prematurely ended an opportunity to grow within the SNL framework. After being fired from Saturday Night Live, SNL, in 1986, Damon Wayans embarked on a journey that showcased his resilience and raw comedic talent, proving that setbacks could pave the way for greater opportunities. Despite the abrupt end to his tenure at SNL, Wayans quickly found his footing, making a series of memorable appearances in both film and television, as well as carving out a name for himself in stand-up comedy. Wayans began to build his post-SNL career with brief but impactful roles in films like Hollywood Shuffle, 1987, and I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, 1988, both of which were directed by his close collaborator and brother, Keenen Ivory Wayans. These films not only demonstrated Damon's ability to deliver sharp, satirical humor, but also aligned with his comedic sensibilities, offering him the creative freedom he had craved during his time at SNL. In these movies, Wayans honed his ability to transform even small roles into standout moments, developing the type of bold and memorable characters that would later become his signature. Between film appearances, Wayans expanded his presence on television. He guest-starred on A Different World, the popular spin-off of The Cosby Show, where he brought his unique comedic energy to the screen. These guest appearances helped him remain visible to audiences and showcased his versatility as a performer. In 1990, he further cemented his reputation as a rising comedic force with a half-hour stand-up special on HBO's One Night Stand. The special highlighted his sharp wit and natural charisma, allowing him to showcase his voice without the creative constraints he had faced earlier in his career. The real breakthrough for Wayans came just 4 years after his SNL departure when he joined his brother, Keenan Ivory Wayans, on the groundbreaking sketch comedy series In Living Color. The show, which premiered in 1990, was a bold and innovative platform that redefined sketch comedy by celebrating diverse perspectives and tackling issues of race, culture, and society with unapologetic humor. In Living Color, Damon finally found the freedom to fully express his comedic talents, creating a string of iconic characters that remain etched in pop culture history. Among his most memorable creations was Homie D. Clown, a grumpy and rebellious clown who refused to conform to societal expectations, hilariously delivering lines like, "Homie, don't play that." The character became an instant fan favorite, embodying Wayans' knack for blending humor with social commentary. Other standout sketches included The Homeboy Shopping Network, where he and his co-star parodied late-night infomercials, and Handyman, a well-meaning but hilariously inept superhero. Anton Jackson, a homeless man with a surprisingly insightful perspective on life, also became one of his most beloved characters. Through these roles, Wayans demonstrated his ability to balance physical comedy, sharp writing, and larger-than-life performances, establishing himself as a comedic powerhouse. In Living Color was a massive success, and Damon's contributions played a key role in its impact. The show gave him a platform to shine creatively, allowing him to thrive in an environment that valued his originality and fearlessness. It also provided a stark contrast to the limitations he had experienced on SNL, proving that his unique comedic style could resonate with audiences when given the right outlet. In April 1995, nearly a decade after being fired, Damon Wayans returned to Saturday Night Live, SNL, this time as a host. The invitation marked a pivotal moment in his career, symbolizing both his growth as a performer and the industry's recognition of his success. For Wayans, it was an opportunity to revisit the iconic stage where his career had its tumultuous beginnings, now with the confidence and accomplishments that came from years of flourishing in his own creative space. Reflecting on his time as an SNL cast member, Wayans shared in interviews how his experience on In Living Color validated the comedic instincts that had caused friction during his SNL tenure. "All the stuff I was trying to do on Saturday Night Live was actually stuff I was able to do on In Living Color," he explained, emphasizing the stark contrast between the two shows' formats and creative approaches. On In Living Color, he had found an environment that valued brevity and boldness, allowing him to craft short, punchy sketches that resonated with audiences. One of the key differences Wayans highlighted was the runtime. At 90 minutes, SNL demanded a significant amount of content to fill the broadcast, often leading to longer sketches that could lose their comedic momentum. "The great thing about In Living Color is it's only a half hour," Wayans said, contrasting it with SNL's extended format. "I have respect for the fact that they can do it because it's hard to fill in time." However, Wayans believed that the shorter runtime of In Living Color allowed for a sharper focus and tighter comedic delivery. He argued that audiences in the 1990s, living in what he described as an ADD society, didn't have the patience for sketches that stretched on for 5, 6, or even 7 minutes. "It's not funny anymore," he remarked, adding, "I'm not listening." Wayans credited In Living Color's success to its ability to leave audiences wanting more. "We were doing 2 or 3 minute sketches and then we were out," he explained. This concise approach allowed the show to pack more energy into its half-hour runtime and ensured that sketches never overstayed their welcome. It was a philosophy that Wayans believed was critical to the show's impact, as it kept viewers engaged and eager for the next joke or character. By focusing on brevity and pacing, In Living Color delivered a steady stream of memorable moments, from the antics of Homie D. Clown to the hilarity of the Homeboy Shopping Network. Hosting SNL in 1995 gave Wayans a chance to reflect on the differences between his early struggles on the show and his later successes. It also allowed him to approach the stage with a new perspective, recognizing the challenges of producing a 90-minute live show while appreciating the freedom he had found elsewhere. His experience on In Living Color had not only honed his skills as a performer and writer, but had also validated his belief in the power of shorter, tightly edited sketches. What do you think about why Damon Wayans was fired? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.